How to stop being invisible on social media. Are you sick and tired of, really sharing lots of posts, lots of content, but not getting engagement and not getting reach with your ideal audience? Today, I'm going to be talking about some common issues that a lot of particularly holistic and spiritual businesses are facing on social media. And some of the things that we can do to try and get around those issues. Now, my name is Eileen Burns. I'm a spiritual business strategist. I'm also a future therapist. I've been studying in holistic and spiritual fields for well over 30 years now, a lot more. But one of the things that I've had an online component to my business for nearly 25 years. And with that, you learn a lot about cycles and you learn about things like trends and how some things last, some things don't last. And you learn also the importance of some basic fundamentals that are always really important in a business and in marketing. And one of the things that we're seeing at the moment is a lot of shifts and changes in relation to social media marketing. Now, one of the biggest things that I've always talked about social media marketing is the aspect of not relying too much on one platform or just social media as a whole, even though that is in many ways the biggest way that most businesses grow their business. There can be many pitfalls if you rely on that in that only way of marketing. And that is, first of all, the most important thing before I go even forward. It's so important to understand this. But the reality is, it is still one of the main ways that people can reach, aspects of their audience. And it's one of the main ways that people feel comfortable. Sometimes people don't know the other ways how to advertise or promote their business. But one of the challenges that we do have at the moment is, and we're seeing this to different degrees, and different types of businesses have been more impacted than others, and it can depend on quite a few factors. But one of the biggest things that many more conscious and awakened business owners have is they've had all sorts of censorship issues and what you could call shadow banning in a way, and all sorts of things because of the type of content that they generally share on the pages or even in the main page. And I know that I've faced a lot of those difficulties. And one example was one of my page. I got a message through Facebook. They kept messaging me saying that if I kept sharing certain types of posts, that I would really be seriously penalised. And I'll give you, for example, some of those posts were sharing medical research papers, and the medical research papers were by holistic practitioners. Now, I should add, many of these posts were they weren't controversial subjects. I'm not saying that I didn't share controversial subjects, but many of the posts that were coming up and being fact-checked by Reuters were actually articles in the British Medical Journal or the Lancet. So, and it was about holistic and, different approaches that were pharmaceutical. So that can give you an idea of some of the things. Also, I had lots of challenges with which the platform this is going to be posted on, and it starts with an I and it has a T in the middle. In relation to dubbing certain things that I was saying, it was unbelievable, some words, and particularly spiritual related words. And or putting music over certain phrases and things like that. And this is just the level of insanity that we're living in. So even though this video is generally about, social media boosting and increasing your reach in social media, it's also very much also aimed at those of you who have similar challenges that I have faced. I know many business owners who have completely lost their pages and their pages have been taken down. And, for some businesses, that is more an impact than others. Now, when you are trying to increase your social media, there's quite a lot of factors that you have to consider. And no matter what type of business, one of the main things I would say to you is to have a good quality and relevant aligned brand. So you're wanting an aligned brand that matches exactly what you are promoting and selling, right? And it's going to align completely with your audience. So it's, the brand is the energy, the color, the fonts, the theme of the energy of the solution, and the essence in many ways sometimes is of you as well. There's an aspect to that as getting the balance right. But it's also about being able to get in front, because sometimes people, there is a wee bit of naivety sometimes in social media, that people just think if they post on social media, that suddenly everybody's going to see that. The reality is that's not really how it works. It's almost like I see these random posts and people get very few followers, and they just think that everybody's going to see it. Now, even though I have in some of my pages, I've got a few thousand, I still know that it's not just about posting on social media and assuming that my audience is going to find me. That is sometimes can be a needle in the haystack, because you've got to consider quite a few things for your audience still to find you. In many ways, Facebook is a social media platform, but it's also a search marketing platform. In some ways, there's some that are more search marketing. So, there has to be a few things you have to think about, but many people just think that if they post and whatever. Now, some people naturally have a big network. Some people have lots of friends, lots of people in the industry know, and they have a big community. So sometimes it's easier for them to share. But there can be lots of other things that means that other people's posts don't the same. And it can be relational subjects. Now, I share a lot about the marketing, for example. I get lots of sign-ups on my lead magnets and whatever, but I don't always get that much engagement. And there can be lots of reasons, because sometimes people don't want other people or other coaches to know, or healers or therapists, that their business is not doing very well or they want to learn. So people are not always as, they're just reading in that way. But also, I do know that some of my posts get some better reach than others, because it's sometimes not always topics that people would search, but I want to promote on my page to give value to my audience. So sometimes it's a combination strategy. But one of the biggest things that is the challenge is the algorithms, and what the algorithms are. Basically, the algorithms is basically a way that social media, our platform is, analyzes what they want to make prominent on people's feeds and what they think is relevant. And there's certain key points, and some of those algorithms can often change. But the key thing is, if you think about it like a big computer, right? And if you can imagine, there's all this information being posted on, say, for example, we'll talk about Facebook. So people are posting all these posts. Now, I know, for example, because of the amount of clients I've had or students, at certain times I've followed their pages. So that's a lot of people. And I can't possibly, engage in all their posts every single day or week or a month. It's just not practical. And some of them are my audience and some of them not. So there's certain things that I don't do. And a lot of times I don't try and follow people's pages that are not my ideal audience, right? Because and that's something I've learned through the years more and more not to do. I didn't at the beginning. I was trying to support people in different ways. And sometimes I follow people because I'm doing work with them and I want to kind of see what they're doing, and that's completely different. But most of the time I would say to people, actually going on and following someone, if they're not your ideal audience or ideal client, it's not the right thing, because what happens then, that gives the algorithms the feeling that when you actually follow the page, because when you follow a page, you're saying, I want to follow him, I want to see everything that they post. But if I'm not their ideal client, well, that can cause some problems. And I talked about this in a video recently where there was a hypnotherapist contact used to send me like when students were qualified, they'd be asking me like their page, and they were that were like hundreds of thousands of miles away. And I would certainly not be buying for any of these people. I'm someone that studied hypnotherapy myself. It's something I don't do, but I know lots of people, real experts, and people that have been in the field 20, 30 years. So I'm going to go to hypnotherapists, I'm more likely to go to some of them than somebody that's a new student. But this is an example, but also most of them were local-based businesses. And I'm in Scotland, they're maybe down in London or elsewhere, so I'm not an ideal client. So that's not going to really be good for their algorithms, because the algorithm's going to struggle to say, is this a local business? Is this an international business? So it's almost like it's trying to get the information to find out who the ideal audience, so that it serves to the best audience. And also it's the same if you share controversial content or content, and I don't mean controversial content as in controversial subjects, that's not what I mean, but I mean topics that make it controversial, as in, and maybe controversial is not the right word I've chose here, but conflicting. If you share conflicting information on your page, that can also maybe throw out the algorithms, right? And it can confuse them. So, for example, if you're a nutritionist, right, and you start sharing everything about clean eating and the importance of, people's health and the amount of issues that cause cancer and all these other things by people eating, highly toxic food or highly processed food or sugar and things like that. And if you start to serve other posts that are completely misaligned with your brand, well, you're going to cause conflict and doubt with your audience, right? It's the same as me. One of the challenges that I had quite a few years ago, I had someone who was doing social media, and she was switched on in some ways, that she had been meditating for years and knew some understanding in meditations and subjects. And she would share, a lot of my content, but we also shared stuff that we knew that my audience would be interested in, because I knew the value that it was important about building client connection and trust, and about serving the audience rather than just all about me and just about, that is about. But one of the problems we had was that she didn't have the understanding and awareness, because she was only maybe new to meditation compared to me that's studying it. And the ideology was that I believe, in my own experiences, was the different aspects and different levels of meditation and different ways of looking at meditation and things. And there's so many teachers out there in meditation, and so many spiritual teachers, that some of the things she started sharing were completely conflicting with my ideology, my beliefs and my values. So that became a wee bit harder to try and engage in, and it was a lot of work, because I had to then kind of keep checking and saying, no, that's not, that's. And for a while, it took her a while to understand where it was coming from. And that can be a problem. So for those of you who are actually hiring social media managers, this can be a huge problem. And it's something I was helping a client with just last week, trying to kind of train up our social media managers to understand her brand, her message, her values. And it's not always easy, right? Because we're all different, and we all have different life experience and different things that are really important to us, and what we believe is going to be, the match to your audience. But that's a fundamental thing. But there's also this aspect, and in some ways it can look like the polar opposite, but it's not really. It's just seeing it from a different perspective. But there's also the importance, when you're building a business, of community and support, not just from your ideal audience, but other business owners, other networkers. Having a team, it might not be the team that just works for you, but having other people that you support, like a business network, right? And this is where good relationships and healthy relationships with other business owners, with other people, even in other industries, and can be really, really important for growing a business, right? When we get good at networking and connecting, we build healthy relationships. But I have to be honest, I've found many business networking events not always helpful for me, or I didn't feel aligned, or felt they were just not being completely authentic. It was just not over the right motive, right? But also maybe the dynamics or the way it was done was maybe not always the best use of my time. And it's one of the reasons why I've started creating something. I've already created the foundation of it, and I've got some of my kind of what I would call certain types of clients, and some of my students I've just joined it to kind of little beta test it in a way, but they're already become the founding members. And it's a community and a kind of membership where the basis of it is building, not just learning how to build your business and grow your business in a more visionary way, in a future way, because one of the things is we're seeing a lot of the old ways of doing business becoming not, how could you say, aligned with most ethical, holistic and spiritual businesses. So we're looking at new ways to reach our audiences, and this is some of the things that I'm going to be talking about in the platform, and some of it's based on some of the things that I was doing last year in relation to a co-creation group I put on hold for a little while for a variety of reasons. And one of the things that came out of that was everyone really loved the way that I was showing them different ways to look at current things that was going on in business, in the economy, and marketing, and how we can get around things. But one of the other things that I wanted to do was build a bigger community, because when you build bigger communities and people genuinely, and I mean genuinely, want to support other business owners and want that community and genuinely want to help their fellow man and their fellow business owner, magical things happen, right? Because business is built on trust, it is built on core values and certain things. And there is lots of things that I believe can grow a business that, I have to be honest, there's things that maybe just time-wise that I want to do more of in 2025. I've just not had time this year, and even the last few years for a variety of reasons, different things going on personally. But there is quite a few things that we can do to boost, for example, social media, using our fellow support, right, and our fellow business owners, where we all do things for a win-win situation. The key is doing it in an aligned way, conscious way, and a strategic way, right? And these are some of the things that I'm going to be talking about in the new business membership, the networking community, how we can start building stronger communities and build better networking and build ways of reaching wider audiences without having to keep, feel as if we're breaking our ethics or have to sell our soul to social media platforms and do things that we don't want to be doing. I know for me, I used to advertise in a lot of social media platforms because I understand the value of advertising instead of having to just look for free advertising all the time, because that can waste a lot of time, energy and money. And it's about using your time wisely. But I also became more and more conscious about these platforms, really what was going on behind them. And then just thought, ethically, I couldn't do it anymore. I just thought, once I really knew the bigger agenda, even though there was something I could see, the more I see the layers behind it, that would be maybe at least 7 years ago, I think. I'm not sure, 6 years ago maybe. I stopped doing advertising in many of the platforms. And then one other, I had a big problem. I'll not say again too much, but I had one problem with one social media platform. Now that's not, I'm saying that, but there are certain ones that I won't, right? There are some that are better than others, right? And that's a whole different thing. And sometimes you can do what you call little boosts on certain types of platforms where you're not spending a lot of money, but it's just getting you visible for starting out. But there is a lot of platforms out there that are doing so many things that they're trying, in many ways, it's ruining businesses. And we, as a community, when we work together, can find ways to, it's almost, I don't mean play the game, but it's like finding ways around the rules and around their game and finding a better way to do things in an ethical way and a heart-based way. And that's what the new community was. it'll be about, and I will be sharing more about that soon for any of those that sign up to the Spiritual Marketing Club, any of the free resources on my newsletter. But part of that is I've created a webinar on Wednesday, which people can sign up for on its own, and a discount. So the webinar class is about how to boost your social media through communities, right? And building communities. And I don't mean just suit your own audience, but other people, and how you can do it in a strategic way. And things you need to think about, because sometimes people join groups that are all about ladder likes or building engagement, but guess what? In the long term, it completely knocks their algorithms off, because they do some things that are just not always the most best way. And I'm going to be sharing a lot more about for you to understand and look at social media and your social media through different lenses, but how you can actually be part of groups that actually does give your algorithm some boosting, so that when it boosts, it starts feeding your post to more people. Right, and how people can support, you can support each other business owners to get that, and how you can consciously do that on a weekly basis in the most healthiest way for, everyone involved. And that doesn't mean that you have to get involved and do things that don't feel aligned, or like posts or comment posts that really feel iffy. I have a lot of clients that I've supported, and not all of them I, maybe are aligned with completely their values or what they sell and what they do. I don't maybe agree everything that they say. And to be honest, most people, even the most respected people that I love their work, it doesn't mean that 100% what they're saying I agree with everything. That I don't think there's anyone that I think we all have slightly different variations and things. But the reality is that, the last thing you want to be doing is maybe sharing someone's post that doesn't align with your values, right? In your business, and, of course. But there's also other ways that we can support people in different ways. I'm going to be talking about that. But also what I'm going to be doing is giving away a little strategy, something that you can take away from this webinar to start implementing, something simple that you can start implementing and consciously doing to try and change your algorithms, and also to support other people. Because if we're genuinely heart-based business owners and we're soul-aligned business owners, and we do want the new earth, and if we want things to change, it has to start with us supporting other people and genuinely wanting what's best for other people. The problem is that there is still a lot of energy within even the spiritual and holistic field of competition. And for all sorts of reasons, people have been triggered, and their own wounding coming up that is stopping them from genuinely and doing things from the heart, or just doing it just so that they get the support. Some of the things that can show up, and it can show up in different ways. I see that when people start hijacking a post, they take a post and they're going to do and share it, but actually what they do, it's your post and you're maybe promoting something or trying to share a point. And sometimes people take that post and they completely grab it, and they may be doing it to try as if they are sharing it for you, but guess what? Then they promote their content on that post. That's not some genuine exchange or whatever. There's more going on there. Now, we're reaching, there's so many shifts in the collective that is so important. You all do start working together. This is about humanity coming together, on a conscious level, about collective conscious coming together and recognizing that we all, in many ways, are an aspect of one. And if we really want to create change in the world, we have to start with being really honest with ourselves in a business and want exactly for others what we want for ourselves. So this is the thing behind this community as well. So if you would like to learn more, and make sure that you are signed up for the newsletter. and that you're on the list, so you get the information. And if anyone is, who would love to be a beta tester and get at a discount, right, and is happy to maybe try out some of my new courses quite quickly for me, because there's lots of modules inside it, and would like to get some feedback, let me know, because it's always helpful. Not everyone has the time to go through certain content right away. So if any of you want to get things at a reduced rate and are happy to give me some feedback on some of the course content and reviews, please just let me know. Anyway, so the webinar is the 18th of September. I know this is very short notice, and it is short notice, and there's a reason why I wanted to get this. I was going to record it just myself, and I decided, no, I'd just put it out and put out a co-creation group out quite quickly, because for a variety of reasons, I see a lot of people needing this at the moment, and we're getting nearer. We're not that far off at Christmas, and a lot of people want to start building their business for Christmas. So on the 18th at 12 noon UK time, now we're still in kind of British summertime at the moment, and it usually runs to it actually runs to 1:30, but the kind of webinar aspect class is 12 to 1, just about that time. And then I usually give time for people to engage and get a chat with other members of the group, and we can discuss something it can be to do with the webinar or other things. So if you would like to be part of that, I am giving people a half price offer to be able to access that without having to join the membership. But I'll also be sharing a little bit of information about the membership, so you get a chance to see what that's all about. Now, the main aspect of this webinar is helping you look at your social media through a different lens, and to see it from a psychological perspective, but also from an energetic perspective, and how in some ways to try and get around the algorithms, right? And it's not really going round, it's working with the algorithms, even if you're someone that has been constantly censored, right? So I'm not asking you to dampen down your message, right? If something's really strong, I know I do that. I don't, I take risks, and I've took risks in relation to certain things, right? And I'm not expecting people to do that, but that's just to give you an idea. But also, if you do have the support of fellow people, and I'll give you an example. So I started a new YouTube channel, and I knew what I was talking about. I started this several months ago. Were really a lot of it would be controversial. It wasn't in the extremist, but it was still, we were talking about hard-hitting subjects. But one of the women, Caroline, who's such, Caroline's a lovely person, and Caroline, was coming on for the first podcast that were on that. And one of the things that she done right away was got her community to support that podcast, and to support and engage. And that really supported my channel at a time that, I'll give you an example, I was getting contacted by kind of external, and the social media platform is what this is on at the moment, starts with the Y. Basically people that are experts in these type of platforms, but maybe work externally from the platform. And they were using software, and they were looking for me to actually hire them, but were showing me what was coming up on software to say that everything I was talking about was highly controversial, the hashtags, the words. So it was classed as, that was why my reach could go, it could go 10, 100 times more than what it would, right? Now, I knew some of that was going on, but with the help of Caroline and some of my own past clients or whatever, just even a comment, a like, some engagement, believe me, that small engagement or support can really support the algorithms, right? Because the more something supports, it doesn't always say what is selling, just in case, just because someone doesn't engagement does not mean that it's not selling and the person's not getting leads. Believe me, I have loads of videos that have got no comments on it, and people have told me they love the content. So that doesn't always reflect, but obviously it looks better for other people, and it can help the the algorithms know that's what people's response is, and that is something that you can't take that away. And this is some of the things we're going to be talking about in this session. And for those of you who invest in the session, the actual session, you will have, you will be able to have a recording of it. Obviously, when you become a member of this new platform, you will get access. If you take the goals, you'll get access to the co-creation monthly sessions, and there'll also be a networking event, and you can also take part in a networking event for the silver. And each level has different bonuses and different courses and things like that. So make sure that you join us if you would love to learn, if you'd love to engage more on your social media, get more engagement and reach more audience and understand these platforms a little bit more. And some of the other things that you really should be considering, also how to be remembered on social media. So make sure that you sign up for Wednesday's session, and make sure that you're signed up for the Spiritual Marketing Club newsletter or the freebies. You sign up for the freebies and you tick to be able to be notified, you will get my email, okay? And if you have any problems or anything, you always can contact me, even private message me through the social media if you want to make sure that you're on a list or something, okay? Wishing you a beautiful day and a beautiful week. And just remember one of the biggest things you can actually do for anyone that you buy from or anyone that you follow who gives you valuable advice, even if you find what I'm saying today valuable, a like, a comment, believe me. I think we've got into such a rushed way of doing things. In many ways, sometimes we all do, we're not grateful, appreciative, or even we're just not conscious of how much people are given today freely, or supporting or helping people. And we'll get into this society with a lot of expectation, even the fact that we expect social media to be free. Because no matter if you like these platforms or not, and you know who these platforms are owned by, the reality is, no matter what we like it, someone's given us something for free. And when we start losing gratitude and appreciation for being able to grow our business for free, well, you're lowering your vibration when you actually appreciate everything and every opportunity. And actually, every time someone does something that helps your business or supports you, and you show that gratitude by sharing or commenting it, you raise their vibration. You make them feel that appreciation and love, which completely raises their vibration, and it all raises the vibration of the planet. So I think we all have to start being more mindful and conscious of what we do and support. And you can really make someone's day by posting a review or a testimonial. Think about the latest thing that you've bought and how you can, for that company, that organisation, particularly if they're a small business, how you can show your appreciation and help spread the word. That's a great way to support your fellow community, your fellow business owner, and make someone's day, and they'll remember you. And sometimes it works back. It's amazing things that can end up happening back. I think of all sorts of situations that's happened to me. For example, many years ago, I started to get to know another business coach, and I helped her out with quite a lot of things at a time where she was going through so much in her life. And, she's helped me tremendously. And she'd done something last year for me, which was very generous. But that was because at a time I did things for her. And I was also at a time where a lot of things were hard for me, but I still gave and did what I could. And things have a great way of coming back to us all. Sometimes it's not right at that time, but we should never just do because we're doing it to get something back. Of course, you want to in a business. There has to be an equal exchange in some way, a lot of things we do. I think we have to be more open-hearted and generally want to help our fellow man, not just in a business, but in a general way. And, you know, giving that little bit of a like or engagement or supporting other people's posts that you know are trying to grow the business can be a great way. And we're going to be talking about how different ways that you can do this and then the best ways that are going to really help someone. And some of the things that actually you think you're actually already doing actually might not be helpful, that might actually be causing that business more problems. So we're going to be talking about that on Wednesday. I'd love to see you there. And as I said, I'll also be giving out something strategic just to help you to, you know, have a plan of action that you can come away, even if you decide you don't want to be part of the membership community, something that you can take away and start implementing. But, you know, this is just a start. There is so many things that I'm going to be sharing around this, and I'm going to be sharing lots of visionary ways that I think, lots of things, that ideas that I've been coming up with of ways to create that change in the future. Okay. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.